Urgent revelation. 7 miraculous secrets to safeguard your divine calling before August. Sarah's heart raced as she sat in the dimly lit chapel, shadows flickering against the ancient stones. The air smelled of wax and whispered prayers. It was here, in this sacred space, that an urgent calling began to bloom. There was something heavenly stirring in her spirit, an awakening she had suppressed for too long. As her pastor's voice boomed, reverberating with authority, the words danced around her, proclaiming miracles and faith, the very lifeblood of their little village. With each phrase, Sarah felt her heart swell. Faith in the face of adversity, he proclaimed, shaking his finger toward the heavens. Tears threatened to spill from her eyes, mingling with a drizzle of rain outside. She clasped her hands tightly, feeling the warmth of a divine embrace wash over her. It was then, surrounded by candlelight and the presence of fellow worshippers, that Sarah sank into fervent prayer. "Reveal to me the secrets, Lord," she whispered urgently, as if she stood at the threshold of destiny. Days passed, and Sarah embarked on her quest. A visit to the village market turned miraculous when she encountered a silver-haired woman, her eyes twinkling with divine insight. "You seek truth, my dear," the woman croaked, leaning closer. "Your heart is a lantern. Let it guide you to the 7th light." Intrigued and bewildered, Sarah pondered what the woman's words could mean. As the weeks unfolded, Sarah watched in awe when a fellow congregant, crippled for years, stood during a service, shouting praises as healing flooded his body. Gasps erupted around her, joy bursting like fireworks as people grasped in disbelief. "Did you see that?" Sarah's heart sang. Hope flickered brightly, but then doubts crept in. Could she truly believe these miracles in the face of her husband's job loss and their beloved church's uncertain fate? The middle of July arrived, bringing not just summer, but a crisis. The congregation shrank, tension simmering. Whispers of betrayal formed thick clouds of discontent. Sarah's heart felt heavy, like lead. Could God truly be aware of their struggles? Just when despair threatened to steal her faith, the weight of the moment collapsed on her. She gathered the remaining parishioners for a prayer meeting, her voice trembling but resolute. "Together, let us seek the light," she urged, yet many fought against her unity, torn by their fears. As Sarah opened her heart to the group, something ethereal began to take shape. Clouds of doubt wove into warm threads of hope as their prayers intertwined in the chapel's embrace. Every voice was a note in a celestial symphony. Suddenly, silence enveloped the room. They shared tender glances, and an unmistakable warmth enveloped the space, as though heaven itself was leaning in, listening. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As August crept ever closer, Sarah realized her calling intertwined with the fate of the church. A towering realization gripped her heart. Could it be that her destiny was tied to the miracle of community? Each secret whispered to her in prayer, growing louder in clarity. But as she stood on this precipice of breakthrough, another trial loomed, a storm ready to test her spirit once more. Would her newfound faith propel her and her community into the light, or would they falter at this pivotal moment? The pathway to divine revelation lay ahead, shrouded in both hope and uncertainty, inviting Sarah to take that next step into the unknown. As the sun rose on the final days of July, a weight settled upon Sarah's shoulders. She felt the pressure of expectation, not only from herself but from her community. With each flutter of the wind through the chapel doors, whispers of faith mixed with the rustle of uncertainty. The balance between hope and despair hung in the air like heavy incense. Drawing strength from her morning prayers, Sarah visualized a tapestry woven from the threads of the congregation's stories, their joys, sorrows, struggles, and triumphs. Each life touched by the divine had its place in this beautiful fabric, and she could almost see the outlines of miracles waiting to unfold. Her heart whispered, "Lord, what do you want me to do?" The words of the silver-haired woman danced in her thoughts. Your heart is a lantern. Sarah had to believe that this was not just about her journey. This was about the church, the people standing beside her, and the community yearning for a beacon of hope. Just as she wrestled with this divine mystery, a familiar voice broke her reverie. It was David, her husband, his brow furrowed with worry. The congregation is worried. Sarah, they feel abandoned, lost. His voice cracked slightly, revealing the burden he carried. We need to do something before it's too late. David, she said softly, gripping his hand, we need to remind them who we are. We are a community rooted in faith. We've witnessed miracles, and I believe we can witness more. His eyes sparked with a hint of encouragement amidst the storm. But how? What can we do to turn their hearts back toward faith? Without hesitation, an idea blossomed in her mind. A revival, a gathering, a night of prayer and worship. Let us celebrate the miracles God has already done among us and invite them to share their testimonies. Hope ignited within her as a new vision of unity filled her heart. Will it work? He questioned, but his voice softened. God is bigger than our doubts, she replied, a steadfastness blossoming in her spirit. If we come together, we can reignite that fire. With renewed determination, they spent hours organizing the event. Flyers were posted, calls were made, and in the days leading up to it, Sarah prayed fervently for the hearts of her people. The chapel was transformed. Flowers were arranged, candles lit, and soft music beckoned like a gentle invitation from above. As the night of the revival approached, Sarah's heart raced with anticipation. She stood at the entrance, watching faces she knew and some she didn't, each arriving with layers of weariness and doubt. Yet, as they gathered under one roof, a warmth filled the air. One by one, community members stood to share their stories. A widow recounted a night when God brought comfort in her loneliness. A young mother spoke of a provision that had come when she least expected it. Each testimony was a brushstroke on the canvas of faith, painting a vivid picture of God's faithfulness. A stirring presence enveloped the chapel as they sang hymns, blending voices in a glorious celebration of life and love. Hope surged like a current, wrapping each heart in divine warmth. The joy of the Lord filled the room, laughter mingling with tears of gratitude. But as the revival reached a climax, Sarah sensed a shift. The stories being shared were not just accounts of the past. They were laden with the promise of the future. There was an electric energy in the atmosphere, a palpable sense of divine expectancy as Sarah raised her hands, inviting anyone who was struggling to come and receive prayer. The moment hung in the air, heavy with divine promise. Would they respond? Would the true miracle unfold? As silence enveloped the chapel, the hearts of the people waited, and so did heaven. What awaited them on the brink of such faith-filled action? As the next chapter unfurled, the presence of the divine awaited. Would they step into it? The chapel held its breath, each soul weighing the decision that lay before them. For a fleeting moment, doubt curdled the sweet aroma of faith. Yet, amidst this stillness, Sarah felt a persistent stir in her spirit, a divine invitation to vulnerability, to raw honesty. Come, she urged softly, her voice steady yet inviting. Come, and let us stand together in this place of prayer. As she spoke, she sensed the shifting tides of emotions in the room. A young man shuffled forward, his brow damp with uncertainty, yet his heart clearly drawn by the call. One by one, more followed. A tremor of encouragement surged through Sarah as she saw families begin to break down walls of isolation. An elderly couple approached, trembling, yet clearly holding on to threads of hope. The power of community enveloped them, and in that moment they weren't alone. As the first individual knelt, their surrender seemingly igniting a flame in others. A gentle warmth washed over the chapel, like a golden ray piercing through heavy clouds. The air thickened with expectancy, as whispered prayers began to rise like incense, filling the sacred space with a tapestry of trust. Sarah moved closer, her hands lifted high as she prayed over them. Lord, you see our hearts. You know the struggles within us. We invite your healing touch, your grace to wash over us. And just like that, the weight of loneliness began to lift. Voices erupted in spontaneous cries for mercy, pleas that surely reached the heavens. Each prayer dipped into the profound well of faith they had been nurturing. In that sacred moment, laughter erupted. A little girl, whose bright spirit had been dimmed by hardship, stood clapping her hands, giggling as if dancing to heavenly music. Her joy ignited the room, and soon everyone joined in a chorus of laughter mixed with joyful tears. This was no ordinary gathering. It was the start of a revival that brewed like a storm on the horizon, ready to bring refreshing rains. Look, Sarah gasped in astonishment as she pointed toward the candles flickering in unison, each flame reflecting the collective hope rising among them. It felt as if heaven itself had opened a window to peep in on their shared moment of devotion. In the back, David stood, his eyes glistening with tears he could no longer contain. He had witnessed the shifting dynamics of faith and fear dissolving into something far greater. It was as if the chapel walls had absorbed all their worries and, in exchange, exhaled a renewed sense of purpose. As the night deepened, Sarah sought the Lord's guidance. What next, God? How can we continue this movement of your Spirit among us? Her soul trembled with anticipation, yearning for divine instruction. As if in answer, she saw a vision and image of community members spreading out, like ripples in a pond, carrying this moment of revival into their homes, workplaces, and beyond. A sense of urgency gripped her. They needed to act. This couldn't just remain a singular event. It had to flourish into an ongoing mission. Let us gather every week, Sarah proclaimed, her voice piercing through the lingering silence of awe. Let us not wait until the next revival. We must nurture this spark now. The congregation buzzed with murmurs of excitement. Fresh hope ignited their resolve, a flickering promise of what was to come if they leaned into their calling. As they moved together to form a plan, Sarah felt the sacred pulsing of possibility in her heart. They were on the edge of something profound, and the real question lingered in the air. Thick with anticipation, was this revival just the beginning? Were they ready to follow wherever the Lord would lead? What would happen when the ripples of faith spread wider? What mighty transformations awaited? As the weeks rolled by, the chapel transformed into a vibrant hub of activity. Every gathering pulsed with an electric atmosphere as Sarah and her community devoted themselves to the task of nurturing their newfound faith. They shared testimonies, prayed earnestly, and worked side by side, forging bonds that transcended mere acquaintance. Each service became a melting pot of hope, a testament to the healing work of the Spirit among them. One evening, as they gathered to worship, a hush fell over the room. An elderly woman named Martha, known for her wisdom and faith, stood up. Her hands trembled, not from age, but from the weight of the message she felt compelled to share. I have seen the Lord's hand in our midst, she began, her voice steady but soft. I was once a woman burdened by grief, but here, I have found hope again. We must spread this warmth like wildfire. Her words stirred a deep affirmation in the hearts of the congregation. Encouraged by Martha's declaration, individuals began to rise, sharing snippets of what God was doing in their lives. There was Nathan, who had struggled with addiction, now celebrating months of sobriety. And young Emma, her spirit rekindled, spoke of how she had found the courage to forgive those who had wronged her. The stories began to weave a beautiful mosaic, illustrating the power of God's redemptive love. As the nights grew longer, Sarah felt the urgent need to pivot towards outreach. We must not keep this treasure hidden, she exclaimed one evening. "We have understood the God who restores. Let us take our faith into the streets of our town." The people nodded in agreement, their hearts resonating with a sound of unity and purpose. Plans took shape swiftly. They organized meals for those struggling in their community, gathered clothing for the homeless, and prepared prayer walks to bless the neighborhoods around them. Excitement bubbled over in their hearts as they prepared to take their faith outside the chapel's four walls. Yet, as they ventured forth, Sarah sensed an awareness of spiritual resistance. In quiet moments of reflection, she felt the enemy lurking: doubt, exhaustion, fear trying to creep in. "Lord," she prayed fervently, "give us strength to stand firm against these distractions." On the morning of their first outreach event, dark clouds hung low, threatening rain. It felt like a shadow of doubt was cast over them. But deep down, Sarah recalled Mary's words: "When we feel the storm, we must remember the promise of the sun." She gathered the team before heading out, and with eyes fixed on heaven, they prayed against fear and claimed the promise of the day. Suddenly, a break in the clouds revealed rays of light shining down. It was as if heaven itself had responded to their plea. "Let us go," Sarah urged, her spirit ignited once more. They hit the streets, laughter and prayer mixing in the air. As they served their community, hearts began to soften. They encountered a single father struggling to find work, a senior citizen saddened by isolation, and children in dire need of friendship. With every interaction, each smile and kind word felt like a brush with the divine. Yet, just as they felt emboldened, rumors began to swirl: whispers of opposition, gossip that threatened to undermine their mission. Sarah listened, confused and weary. Did it come from those who felt threatened by their light, or was it a distraction from the true purpose laid before them? With the gathering storm of doubt looming, Sarah paused to reflect. Were they truly prepared for the challenges that followed such a remarkable awakening? Were they ready to embrace the trials that come with bold faith? The exhilaration of their mission clashed with the reality of impending opposition. They stood at a crossroads, faith mingled with apprehension. What lay ahead as they held fast to their calling? How could they forge ahead in the face of adversity? As Sarah lifted her gaze to the horizon, the questions hung in the air, inviting a deeper revelation. Would their efforts bear fruit, or would they be met with unforeseen battles? What awaited them in their journey beyond the walls of the chapel? The answer loomed just beyond their reach. As the sun crested the horizon, spilling golden light across the still damp streets, an undeniable sense of urgency filled the air. Sarah gathered her team once more, their faces alight with a mix of determination and trepidation. "We are on a mission," she proclaimed, her voice steady. "But we need each other now more than ever." They formed a circle, hands clasped tightly, a living testament to their unity. With each moment spent in prayer, a palpable warmth enveloped them. Hearts were opened, fears were laid bare, and hope surged like a mighty wave. They sensed the Spirit moving among them, igniting their faith and stirring boldness within each soul. "He will equip us for every good work," Sarah reminded them, drawing strength from the promises found in Scripture. As they meandered through the streets, vibrant and alive, smiles blossomed around them like wildflowers after rain. They visited the single father, pooling resources to help with his job search, not just offering assistance, but also friendship. They listened to the lonely elder, sharing stories beneath the shade of an old oak tree. Every interaction felt like a sacred encounter, weaving threads of love and grace through the fabric of their community. Gradually, their mission began to take root. Word spread, drawing more people into their fold. New faces joined their ranks, each with their own experiences and needs. Together, they grew, not only in numbers, but in spirit. Yet, amidst this blossoming came a chilling realization. The whispers of opposition had evolved into something darker. One afternoon, as they prepared to host a larger gathering for the community, a figure emerged from the shadows, eyes cold and calculated. "You think you're helping, but you're just stirring up trouble," he sneered, a voice dripping with disdain. It sent shivers down Sarah's spine. This was no ordinary objection. It felt like a direct confrontation with darkness itself. Yet, instead of despair, an unwavering sense of peace swept over her. The words of Martha echoed in her mind. We must spread this warmth like wildfire. This was a spiritual battle, one that required prayer and perseverance. They had come too far to turn back now. Let us pray, Sarah said softly, her voice a whisper against the roar of doubt that threatened to engulf them. They knelt together in that moment, surrendering their fears, speaking life over the gatherings yet to come. As they sought divine guidance, a gentle breeze ruffled their hair, a sign of the Spirit's presence. Afterwards, something shifted. During their next outreach, they found more neighbors waiting with open arms. Every prayer seemed to pierce the veil of fear that had been thrown over the city. Each smile they received was like another brick removed from a wall of opposition. The light of hope surged forward, deftly extinguishing the shadows that had dared to linger. That night, as they returned to the chapel, weary yet refreshed, Sarah felt a stirring in her soul, a knowing that gave her pause. She realized that the challenges they faced were an opportunity, an invitation to strengthen their resolve, to deepen their faith. Could it be that in the midst of adversity, a greater blessing awaited? As they lit candles in the chapel, illuminating the dark corners, Sarah sensed the weight of a profound revelation. God's purpose was unfolding before them, tangled and messy yet undeniably beautiful. Amid the flickering candlelight, she gathered everyone close. What if this is just the beginning? She asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. What if our greatest challenges are leading us to our most significant blessings? Intrigued, they nodded, the air crackling with anticipation. Little did they know, their faith was about to be stretched further than ever before. What lay ahead wasn't just a test. It was a preparation for a divine manifestation that would change everything what awaited them when the final showdown came. What breakthroughs were poised to unfold amidst this chaos? The answers danced just beyond the horizon. The following morning dawned, shimmering with the promise of a new chapter. The sun spilled its radiant light across the chapel, casting warm hues that seemed to echo the energy in Sarah's heart. She felt a magnetic pull to gather her team once more, an urgency that pulsed through her veins. Today, she began, standing before them. We dive deeper. We've tasted the sweetness of connection, but we must now prepare for what lies ahead. Her words hung in the air, thick with intention. They leaned in closer. In the sacred quiet, she encouraged them to share their fears openly. Each confession was an act of vulnerability, slicing through their trepidation like a beacon. We are not alone in this, one member, Jacob, said, his voice shaking slightly. I've been feeling that something is coming, something significant. The murmurs of agreement followed, a chorus of uncertainty mingled with eager expectation. They retreated to a nearby park, where nature thrived, a place vibrant with life, reflecting the energy they sought to harness. As they walked, each step felt deliberate, charged with purpose. Bright flowers bloomed symphonies of color, an invitation to recognize beauty amid struggle. Inspired, Sarah paused beneath a sprawling willow tree. Let's ask the Lord to open our eyes, she declared. They joined hands again, their hearts aligning in rhythmic prayer. A stillness fell over them, the kind that tinged the world with divine dread and awe. In that moment, a gentle breeze whispered through the leaves, a reminder that divine presence embraced them. Suddenly, a distant voice shattered the tranquility. You think your prayers can change anything? It was the same man who had confronted them before, shadows trailing behind him like a dark cloak. His eyes gleamed with contempt. You're playing with fire, better step back before you get burned. But Sarah, emboldened by the prayers of her team, responded, We walk in light. You may cast shadows, but they must flee before us. She felt warmth envelop her as they stood firm, hearts racing. The man scoffed, but as he backed away, she noticed something flicker in his eyes. Was it fear? Anger? Or perhaps something deeper, something that craved redemption? For the first time, doubt crept into her heart. Was he merely an agent of darkness, or an opportunity for change? They continued their outreach, sharing food and joy among the community. With every act of kindness, it felt as if each soul they encountered was a fragile thread adding to the tapestry of connection. "We are thread spinners," one of her teammates laughed playfully. "We weave hope into each heart." As day turned to dusk, the chapel grew alive with voices. People of all ages filled the space, laughter mingling with praise. In that moment of togetherness, Sarah sensed a powerful shift. It was as though the very walls of the chapel pulsed with hope. Then came a voice, a new one that trembled with vulnerability. "I want to believe, but what do I do?" A woman had stepped forward, her brow furrowed with doubt. As the team moved closer, they joined hands surrounding her. "Together, we seek truth," Sarah replied. "Let us pray for peace to guide you. Every step you take brings you closer to the light." As they prayed with her, Sarah felt a profound sense of unity. Tensions ran high, yet hearts opened wide. It was then she realized something miraculous. The darkness they faced was not an end, but the beginning of a greater journey. "Let us not just act from fear, but from love," Sarah whispered, settling into warm serenity. But in the back of her mind, the question lingered, was the opposition truly over? As they prayed on, a sudden rush of wind gusted through the chapel, flickering the candles violently. Was this a sign? What awaited them beyond the embrace of hope? The air shimmered with the promise of revelation, yet the mystery deepened. As twilight descended upon the chapel, the flickering candlelight danced like spirits aroused by prayer. Sarah felt a charge in the air, a divine resonance that tingled in her fingers and surged through her spine. The wind that had swept through moments earlier seemed to quiet now, becoming a gentle whisper, coaxing and caressing, inviting her deeper into the mysteries unfolding. "Shall we stay a little longer?" Sarah suggested, her eyes reflecting a flame of hope. Her team nodded, their expressions a mix of curiosity and apprehension. There was something more yet to be revealed, an unveiling waiting just beyond the veil of the evening shadows. As they settled in, the room began to swell with warmth. The soft murmur of prayers intertwined, creating a melodic tapestry woven from their collective faith. Each word flowed like water, soothing the spirit, washing away doubt and fear. And it was in this communal surrender that something shifted. Jacob, the one who had voiced the sense of foreboding earlier, began to tremble slightly. I feel something unusual," he said, his voice breaking through the stillness. "It's like a flame igniting within me. It's almost as if I'm being called to step forward." His eyes shone with a mix of apprehension and exhilaration. "Go on," Sarah encouraged, her heart racing. Encouragement poured from her, a nurturing impulse to support her friend in what felt like a holy moment. Taking a deep breath, Jacob stepped toward the center of the circle they had formed. "I've hesitated to share my gifts, afraid that they aren't enough. But tonight, I sense that I'm meant to let them shine for His glory." The group leaned closer, eyes wide with anticipation. There was an electric energy in the room, a vibrant pulse of faith that seemed to resonate from the very walls of the chapel. Tears began to trickle down her cheeks. As Sarah understood, they were witnessing not only Jacob's awakening, but the awakening of purpose within each soul present. One by one, each member of the team began to recognize and confess their own gifts, be it healing, teaching, or simply the ability to listen. "I can help others see their way through shadows," Sarah spoke, voice steady against the rising tide of hope. "Together, we can guide a new light into the world." But suddenly, laughter broke through the air, light and playful, yet filled with power. They looked up to see the woman who had stepped forward, her face aglow. "And I can help bring those who doubt back into faith. A new hymn has been singing itself in my heart, and now I understand I can lead in praise." Their vows intertwined like vines, stretching toward a shared destiny illuminated by divine light. With each declaration, the sorrow and shadow that had once threatened them shrank into the backdrop. They became a tapestry of vibrant threads, each lighted by their faith and passion, ready to embark on a new journey together. Yet as excitement filled the room, a sudden chill swept through, an echo from the dark figure they had encountered. The door creaked ominously, dragging their attention, and silence fell heavy once again. Did the man truly understand the power of their unity? Could their dedication truly illuminate the darkest corners of the world? They held hands tighter, interlocking their faith in defiance of the breath of fear that had once lingered. The flame around them flickered, but did not extinguish. Together as one, we can overcome any darkness, Sarah declared firmly, eyes shining bright. But even as she spoke, uncertainty tickled at the edges of her mind what would truly meet them on the path ahead. The wind returned, whispering secrets, as shadows danced along the walls, questioning their resolve. What awaited them beyond the threshold of faith? With a collective breath, their hearts pulsed in rhythm, unified in purpose, ready to carve their names into the fabric of hope yet to be revealed. Was this merely the beginning of their calling, or was it a portal to something far greater? The air thickened with anticipation, charged with an energy that pulsed like the heartbeat of an unseen presence. As Sarah and her team huddled closer, their spirits entwined in faith, a sense of urgency enveloped them. What if we truly are on the edge of something miraculous? Jacob's voice broke the tension, laced with a tremor of wonder. He looked at his friends, each face aglow with the flickering candlelight and the fire of newfound courage. What if tonight changes everything? Tension slid into resolve, and Sarah felt a warmth rush through her, infusing her with boldness. Then we must be ready. This moment is a gift, she replied, the words flowing like a hymn long buried yet now awakened. Let us keep praying and see where the Spirit leads us. The unity of their voices filled the chapel. Each prayer rose, building upon the last, a powerful crescendo. With every whispered plea, they reached out into the intangible, tearing down walls of doubt, brick by brick. Suddenly, the energy shifted. A gust of wind swept through the room again, this time swirling around them, stirring the candle flames into a wild dance. The lights flickered erratically, casting their shadows on the chapel walls as if the very spirit of the place breathed with them. Can you feel it? Another team member, Eliza, almost shouted, her eyes wide as she pointed toward the altar. Something is happening. As they all turned to look, an unexpected sight met their eyes. A soft glow began to emerge from the altar, a pulsing luminescence that seemed to call out to them. It was as if the light itself beckoned them forward with whispers of promise and purpose. Heartbeats quickened. The air grew thick with anticipation, as if the chapel itself held its breath, waiting. That's the divine guidance we've been asking for. Sarah breathed, overwhelmed yet exhilarated. One by one, they stepped forward, the awe drawing them like moths to a flame. Each of them felt an inexplicable pull, a connection drawing them into this sacred moment. The light shimmered, surrounding them, holding them in a warmth that felt both protective and transformative. I think we need to share our fears, Eliza suggested, her voice steady now, radiating peace. It's our vulnerability that opens us to his strength. With that, a sacred honesty emerged. They began sharing not just their gifts, but the doubts and fears that had weighed them down. Each confession was embraced, creating a space of trust that deepened their connection. I've always been afraid that my voice wasn't good enough, Jacob admitted, but I know now that my story matters. As does mine, Sarah echoed, her throat tight with tears that shimmered as brightly as the light before them. It's in our honesty that we find strength together. In this sacred exchange, the light brightened, enveloping them in warmth and understanding. The vibrations of their hearts aligned, echoing a sacred resonance through the room, wrapping them in a cocoon of divine promise. They were no longer individuals standing apart. They became a unified force, each offering their vulnerability as a thread woven into a larger tapestry of faith. But then, as if an unseen force loomed, the laughter from earlier twisted into a haunting echo. The shadows deepened, and a cold dread washed over the light. What if it's a trap? A voice whispered from among the darkness. Was their openness inviting danger? Were they truly ready for the next step, or had they just opened the door to shadows lurking just beyond the light? Beneath the trembling hope, doubt coiled. The flame of courage faced a test unlike before. Sarah steeled herself, heart racing. "We have to trust," she urged. Faith isn't about knowing every step. It's about leaning into the unknown. As they turned to face the glow once more, a single thought bound them together. What greater strength lies in unity when we dare to face the darkness? And just as they steadied their hearts, the luminescence surged, crackling with an energy that felt more alive than ever. It resonated, pulling at their spirits. All at once, a deeper question pierced through the upheaval. What would this night reveal? What divine truth lay hidden just beyond their sight? The light intensified, pulsating with a rhythm that seemed to match the quickened beats of their hearts. Waves of warmth washed over them, spilling into the crevices of doubt that still lingered in their minds. The whispers merged into one, a symphony of possibility and purpose that beckoned them deeper into the unknown. Sarah felt her feet move forward as if guided by an unseen hand. Jacob, Eliza, and the others followed, each step a leap of faith into something extraordinary. "Here we go," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. The glow enveloped them, and in that sacred embrace, the shadows felt distant, reduced to mere echoes of what had once threatened to stifle their hopes. As they stood together, the glow shifted, revealing a vision shimmering just beyond the surface. Images danced before their eyes, moments of their lives flashing like lightning, interwoven with tales of those who had gone before them, each illuminating a piece of their collective journey. They were not alone. They were part of something bigger. "Do you see that?" Eliza gasped, pointing to a figure lingering at the edge of the light. It was a radiant presence, wise and gentle, a guardian of their journey. This figure, glowing with divine love, seemed to exude an understanding that transcended words. "Who are you?" Jacob asked, his voice filled with awe and tremor. "I am here to guide you," the figure replied, its voice like a soft breeze rustling through leaves. "You stand at the crossroads of your potential. Every step you take matters, and every fear you shed strengthens your path." The group exchanged glances, eyes wide with a mix of curiosity and trepidation. "What do you want us to do?" Sarah ventured, her heart racing as the weight of the moment pressed down on her. "Embrace the truth within you." The figure extended its hand, and in an instant, they felt a rush of memories flooding in. Past failures mingled with lessons learned, shaping them into who they were destined to become. "You have the power to heal, to share hope, and to illuminate lives. But first, you must let go of what holds you back." "I want to be brave," Eliza whispered, tears flowing freely down her cheeks as she wiped them away with the back of her hand. "But I'm afraid." "Therein lies the key," the figure said softly. "Fear can either choke your faith or propel it to unimaginable heights. Choose to step into the light and let your fear become your strength." The warmth around them pulsed again. It was a call to action, a divine nudging that urged them to rise above their limitations. Sarah felt that coiled doubt within her begin to unravel, replaced by a boldness that surged forth. "Let us share what we truly want," she said, emboldened by the figure's presence. "What we dream of doing to spread love and light to others." One by one, they voiced their deepest passions and dreams, unraveling a cascade of potential that electrified the air. "I want to sing about hope," Jacob shared, his voice gaining confidence. "I want my words to inspire others. I want to help those who feel lost," Eliza added, her heart brimming with compassion. Each revelation sparked another, weaving a vibrant tapestry of shared visions. The light around them glimmered brighter still, as if rejoicing in their openness. But as they stood in unity, an ominous whisper crept back, casting a stark contrast against their shared light. What if you fail? It slithered through the air, wrapping around their hearts like an unwanted shroud. Sarah steadied her breath, confronting the fear head-on. Failure is not the end, she declared defiantly. It's simply part of the journey. As the words left her lips, she felt the weight of fear diminish, swept away by the tide of their collective faith. The figure nodded, eyes shining with approval. Remember, my dear ones, that every setback is a setup for a comeback when you abide in love and trust. Embrace the night, for the dawn shall break with promise. They stood there, hearts entwining yet again, illuminated by a courage ignited by their intentions. But questions lingered, echoes of what lay ahead. How would they wield this newfound strength? What challenges awaited them on this journey of revelation? As the warmth enveloped them again, it was clear that this was just the beginning, a turning point brimming with possibilities. They could almost hear the whisperings of the divine around them, guiding them toward the next step. The night was alive with mysteries yet to be unveiled. What revelation awaited them just beyond the horizon? Could they truly trust in this unfolding miracle? As the week passed, the light of hope illuminated the chapel, brightly reflected in Sarah's heart. Each gathering buzzed with energy, a divine nectar that quenched their thirst for connection and purpose. Yet beneath the joyful surface, Sarah sensed a stirring, a call to venture deeper into the unknown. Gathered around the altar one evening, the group shared laughter, stories, and prayers. Then, focusing her gaze on her friends, Sarah declared, "It's time we take this light beyond our walls. Our community is waiting." The air thickened with anticipation as excited murmurs rose. David, her husband, stepped forward, eyes glimmering with newfound resolve. "What if we hold an outdoor gathering like a festival? We can invite everyone." The crowd erupted in enthusiastic agreement. The idea soared, fueled by unity and faith. Plans took shape swiftly. Sarah led the charge, her heart racing as she organized activities, a day of worship, laughter, and service where everyone would be embraced. Posters were painted, and each member contributed their talents, bringing to life the vision they had created. Yet, as the day approached, whispers of doubt and uncertainty echoed darker realities. What if nobody comes? One voice quavered. What if we fail? Sarah, feeling the weight of expectation, gathered her friends once more. "This is not about numbers," she reminded them. "It's about love. God works through us, and every heart matters. Let us step into this calling together." The day of the festival dawned bright, the sun radiating blessings as joyful laughter filled the air like birdsong. The chapel glowed in color. Banners hung from trees, snacks sizzled on grills, and laughter bound the crowd in warmth. As people arrived, Sarah felt a ripple of divine energy wash over her, igniting every soul present. Amidst the festivities, testimonies flowed freely, weaving stories of struggles and triumphs. People shared laughter and hope under the sprawling oak, while music filled the atmosphere. The air shimmered with connection, weaving hearts together like intricate threads. But in the middle of this beautiful chaos, Sarah caught sight of the shadow of the man who had confronted them before. He stood at a distance, arms crossed, a storm brewing in his eyes. Anxiety swirled within her, but doubt was quenched by resolute courage rising within. "Let us not fear the shadows. Let us be the light," she whispered to her friends. With a deep breath, she approached him, warmly inviting him to join the gathering. "We're sharing faith and hope today. Everyone has a story," she said softly. "Wouldn't you like to be a part of it?" His expression softened, uncertainty evident. "I don't belong here," he mumbled, a flicker of pain in his gaze. "Yes, you do," Sarah insisted, her heart swelling with the truth of their bond. "Let us unravel the fear together." As she spoke, a light shone in the man's eyes. He stepped forward, hesitant yet drawn by the warmth enveloping the gathering. The shadows receded, and with each word, he let his walls down, revealing his struggles. In that sacred moment, connections unfolded. The crowd embraced him with love, mirroring the acceptance of Jesus himself. Laughter mixed with moments of vulnerability, creating a tapestry rich in healing and grace. As the sun dipped behind the trees, casting a golden glow, Sarah felt the presence of God wash over them all. It was a miraculous blend of worship, stories interwoven with testimonies of faith. Lives transformed in real time as the shadow melted away into acceptance and love. Tears of gratitude filled Sarah's eyes. They had done it together. They had become a light that dispelled darkness, fostering hope where it had once been scarce. As the evening drew to a close, while people gathered their things and wrapped up conversations, Sarah marveled at how they had touched lives. This wasn't just a festival, she thought. It was a manifestation of true community. Standing tall with David by her side, they watched as members of their community left, smiles bright against the twilight. "We can't stop here," David said, nodding toward the mingling crowd. "This is just the beginning." "Yes," Sarah whispered, her heart brimming. "Let us take this momentum further. We'll gather weekly. We'll keep reaching out." Their eyes sparkled with hope as the festival became an ongoing mission. They vowed to take their experiences and touch lives even beyond their community. The evening closed with a sense of victory. Hearts warmed, souls bonded, and the embers of divine love flickering strong. Together, they had faced their fears and turned darkness into light. With every face they had encountered, each story shared, they had fortified their purpose. And poised on the brink of a new chapter, they leaned into what God had in store, trusting that this love wouldn't just define them, it would guide them onward into a future bright with promise and grace. The light beckoned them forward, pulsing with potential. And in that moment of unity and transformation, Sarah knew their journey would echo through eternity. It's now your turn. Subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories of faith that can change your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support the community that's growing in love and grace. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this powerful Ending Your Voice Matters. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of hope. Don't wait even one more second to show your support. Only true servants of God understand the importance of spreading this light.